day.
Israeli airstrikes in Tehran hit military and nuclear sites, while Iran launched missiles that penetrated Israel's defenses.
World leaders convened in Alberta, Canada Sunday as the G7 summit got underway under heightened international tensions.
Discussions focus on de-escalating the Israel-Iran crisis and reshaping trade agreements, with no joint communique expected at the conclusion.
In Salt Lake City, at least one person was critically injured during a protest linked to the No Kings demonstrations held over the weekend.
Authorities say the shooting occurred amid tensions over President Trump's military parade.
News emerged from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, that a U.S. Army helicopter training mission resulted in one soldier killed and another injured.
The incident occurred during routine flight exercises, and an official investigation has been launched.
The opinions expressed
This is
on
News
this
in
program
60
are
with
those
Alan
of
Edwards.
the host or
A
guest
regional
and should
crisis
not be
continued on
interpreted
Sunday as Israel.
Statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Motherfucking loop button. Every time. You get me. Like you don't get me. I get me. You don't get me. Look, all unchecked again.
Damn good coffee and hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
No, he's not. Oh.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Oh, yes. Look at that. Look, it's unchecked again. Just don't be a loop button. Checks and unchecks itself. StreamYard, please. Fix your crap. I guess saying please doesn't help, does it? Oh, good morning, folks. Let's see what happens here. If it does it or doesn't do it, only its hairdresser will know for sure. Okay, it's not going to do it. Good morning. It is Monday, June 16th, 2025. Looking forward to a new week, are you? Why? We had a crazy weekend, huh? Crazy weekend. Apparently the guy who shot legislators and killed legislators in Minnesota has been found crawling his way to police through the woods or something. Man, oh man. Where do you begin with a week like this? I'm suspended on X. Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. Don't call it X. I'm suspended on X. You might be seeing this on Steven's X. Steven is not here. He's missing in action. He's AWOL, absent without leave. Well, we hope he's okay. But so I got suspended on Twitter for using violent language. And the language I used was not violent. Basically, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, said, please join me in wishing that guy happy birthday. And what I said was, no, fuck you. Choke on a bag of dirty dicks, all you goddamn Nazis. Now, that's not nice. I will stipulate that that's not a nice thing to say. But it's also not violent. Have you choked on anything ever? Of course you have. Most of us, if you've lived long enough, you choked on something. It wasn't an act of violence unless you were choking someone. I did not say somebody should choke you with a bag of dicks, or that I would choke you with a bag of dicks. Dirty dicks, by the way, not just dicks. And I obviously I'm not going to choke you with my dick, because my dick is very clean, and I'm not going to shove it in that dirty skankhorn mouth of Pam Bondi or Donald Trump or any of those Nazis. But in the same token that I got suspended for using violent language, they're using violent language all over the place, talking about killing people. The sheriff of Brevard County, Florida, said, "We'll kill you graveyard dead if you protest," which is a little bit illegal. First Amendment rights to peaceful protest are guaranteed, and you don't get to just shoot people because you don't like the fact that they're protesting. But this guy was saying he was going to do that and threatening to do it. He gets to stay on there. Elon Musk's censorship stuff is just there to protect the psyche of a very fragile psychopath. And the problem with the parade being the disaster, attendance-wise, is that's just going to make a psychopath more psychopathical, psychopathological, so, more angry, more mean. The Constitution. Yeah, I'm not crying about the Constitution. By the way, I don't have a Constitution. I have an envelope I could call the Constitution. But the unequal treatment on X, depending on who you are and what you say, can be seen as violence. Listen, I have choked people. This used to be my thing. I was known as a choker in my early days, because it was a quick way to end a fight. You just choke a guy out, and that's it. You just put him in a sleeper hold, and good night. And for me, when I was all pumped up and full of whatever I was full of, not steroids. I never took steroids, but I was a very big weight-lifting dude with huge arms, and I could just basically wrap my biceps around a carotid artery and have a guy out pretty quickly. It's not a brag, by the way. I'm not. It's the stupid thing. It was a stupid waste of my life, or part of my life. But I have choked people, and I know what it's like to choke people violently. This is not a violent threat. Choke on a bag of dirty dicks. Anyway, I don't know how long the suspension is going to be. They told me 7 days or longer. Or longer. What does that mean? When you'll decide when the 7 days is up. If I don't let dirty dick boy back on the site. Anyway, I did not go to the rally. I wanted to go and just film some stuff and get some content at the No Kings rallies. And apparently, now the numbers are all over the place on this, but looks like significant numbers turned out. And here's where it gets interesting and frustrating. Christopher Titus, of all people, about a month ago on his podcast, digital broadcast, whatever he fucking called it, he had a statistician. Boy, why is that hard for me to say? Statistician, who was breaking down all the stuff with the election and claiming that everything looks rigged and false and all this stuff. Now, all of a sudden, a month later, Midas Touch and all these other left-wing places are starting to pick up on the story. And they learned it from Titus and this statistician guy he had on there, and run with it. That it looks like Harris actually won the election. Well, I thought that they won, and I thought it not based on statistics, but just on what I saw with my own two eyes. We forget the amount of enthusiasm there was for her campaign, and also that there was early voting going on, and you couldn't get close to the polls. And then all of a sudden, the turnout wasn't what we thought it was. It didn't make any sense. If the turnout wasn't there, why couldn't I get close to the polls for 2.5 weeks to get early voting? None of it made sense. Anyway, it's depressing and frustrating because she and Biden never thought to even question it. They were just afraid of being seen as these, like the MAGA nutcases, election deniers of 2020. You know, watch the tightest thing and draw your own conclusions. But the fact that she didn't question it, now what can be done, even if it's proven that the election was rigged? Can we do anything about it at this point? The man's been sworn in to undo that constitutional crisis. Way too big. Anyway, I don't know, a lot to talk about. One last thing on the march, big old military march, where you see the Army celebrating its 250th birthday, which doesn't make any sense to me, too. Maybe it's not one last thing; it's a couple last things. Because 250 years ago, there was no United States, so there could not have been a United States Army. Yes, the colonial army did morph, and they had West Point and all that stuff, but it was not the United States Army. It's like saying the Yardbirds and Led Zeppelin is celebrating the extra years that the Yardbirds were around before. That's a stretch, right? But I mean, it's not the same thing. It's almost the same thing. It's kind of the seeds of the same thing, but it's not the same thing. Anyway, so there. Now we had the army marching down the street, and what I noticed, if you watch some of the video, and I'm certain North Korea, China, Russia, maybe even Iran, looking at this and saying, wow, that's your army? They can't march in unison or in sync. They're like a bunch of, I'm sorry. If you're in the service right now and you think, wow, who's this? Watch the video. I've seen drills run and marches, with military marches, with precision. These guys just look like guys who were on National Guard, just got called up last minute and haven't had any training, and were just walking out of sync. Look at it. Look at it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go look at all the video that's available of these dudes walking down the street. It does not look like a military march. So if you're North Korea, who was and China, who was practicing all this stuff, you're saying, you know what? America's military looks kind of sloppy and undisciplined, and just they're not so tough. Maybe they're just talking tough. In the meanwhile, we have Iran, as it's really called, and Israel just blasting each other. Oh, I thought the war was over. And Trump was quick. You remember the next morning kind of declaring victory and saying that he gave Iran 60 days to make a deal, and they didn't make a deal, so he authorized. And now he's saying, I had nothing to do with it. I don't know what you're talking about. It's all Israel. I didn't author. Wait, what? You said you authorized. You said. Yeah, I don't know how you feel today, but it's Monday. We're on a new week, and it's going to be just as crazy as the old week. Meet the new boss. We have Nina Brooks, who's coming on in the first hour. Nina is a filmmaker. She was scheduled here once before and didn't show up. And while she didn't show up, she rescheduled. So I'm not even certain she's going to be here, but she's doing the first hour, which is about a minute from now. And I guess it's a good time to, because Steven's not here, bust Steven's balls a little bit with this commercial, right?
Steven to sit down, really wants to get down. Stevie likes to get it on with a girl that's made of silicone. He goes to Tantalene, click on link. He goes to Tantalene, soft and pink. She comes without a head, but at least she'll never shit the bed. You need a fake rubber squeeze, be like Stephen Ortiz. Move it up, it's so soft, get you 10% off. He goes to Tantalene. He goes to Tantalene. He goes to Tantalene. He goes to Tantalene.
Go to Tantalese and get Stevie's favorite headless. What happened? I'm here, right? I was here. Why was I here and then not here? Piece of StreamYard crap. Good morning, GG.
Good morning. Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Did you throw a $45 million birthday party?
I think it was 90.
Anyone showed up? What? Were the lines at the DMV longer than your I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading through this.
He's happy. Look, he's happy. He's jolly. I would call you jolly.
I was ready to do my Edward G. Robinson impersonation. Where are your friends now, Donald? But I couldn't find my Edward G. Robinson voice.
Yeah, no, I thought the price tag was. I know it was scheduled to be $45 million. Some people said he was spending like $90 million on it. Very sad that he didn't get the birthday party that he wanted. But he's gonna, it's just gonna make him crazier and meaner. You know that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We know that, and he's going to need a bigger distraction because here's the thing this is what I don't get. Time after time, every time he tries to do it, it shows that he really has no friends, and it just doesn't sink in that he has no friends. It's at some point because you can tell that he senses it because you can see the depression on his face. The expressions on his face shows that he feels it, but it just doesn't register. It's like, and I don't get that. It's like, where are my friends? Nope. Doesn't anybody love me? And then he'll like come back and go like, I had the biggest parade. There were over 300 million people from all over the world walking down Connecticut Avenue in the middle of Washington, D.C. The tanks love me. We have the biggest tanks full of memories. And then he just goes on.
Yeah. What's even worse is knowing not only did your 250,000 people you expected to show up and give you love, they didn't show up. What's more depressing is that 11 million people went out to express their hatred for you. At least 11 million people went out to express how much they fucking loathe you, that you can't stand you, they hate your fucking guts, they want you dead. That would make me feel maybe I should kind of moderate my positions a little bit, just a little.
I need to double check my math because I was trying to figure out, according to 3 sources, I averaged out the numbers on the 3 different sources, and I came up with roughly 5,000 people when I averaged out the sources that say that how many people actually attended. There were 6,000 soldiers in the parade, and they say 5,000 people attended. The parade costs $45 million. The last official count, yeah, and I think that's like $9,000 per attendee.
Wow.
I think if my math is, unless I typed in not enough zeros, and I just keep thinking this should be 5,000 times 9,000. I think that's 45 million. Yeah, $9,000 per attendee. That's
what
not
could we have done with that money?
Well, between that money, the 130 million they spent deploying National Guard and Marines, sorry, not 130 million, it's up to like 190 million, I think, that they spent deploying National Guard and Marines. So far, that's over 200 million right there. Let's not even talk about the money he wasted sending immigrants or sending people to Cuba and then sending them back again. That was over 100 million they spent on that.
Yeah.
They didn't even save that much total in Doge. I think Doge total probably saved around 200, 300 million.
Yeah. So so crazy weekend, and then of course a guy took it upon himself to go shooting lawmakers in Minnesota. Now immediately the right wing Twitter sphere and the social media sphere, they went out and started branding this guy as a leftist. It was because
I think they meant lefty. Like he was shooting left-handed.
Well, they meant leftist because they were trying to say that Tim Walz appointed him to some board at some point. But you know what? That doesn't. People who get nominated for things, he appointed him. As governor, he said okay on it. He probably didn't check the guy's bona fide as a Democrat or whatever. But clearly, he wasn't. I don't know if you've seen films of the guy. The guy preaches about the sins of the Democrats and all. So he's in church. He's doing the charismatic thing. He's screaming at people about the sin of Democrats. The pulpit stuff. So and he's clear. And his roommate said he was a clear Trumper. He was enthusiastic about the Trump campaign. Loves Trump. The only two politicians he ever mentioned were Trump and Nancy Pelosi, and he said he wanted Nancy Pelosi dead. Okay.
That sounds like love.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I thought there would be more violence. Obviously, there could still be, but I think we got off lucky with that's a terrible thing to say if you were the family of those two people who got shot. But I think we got off lucky with it being as limited as it was.
Yeah. Now, they said that 31 people needed treatment after the parade. Do you know what they needed the treatment for? Because I didn't find it. I didn't find out what they needed treatment for. I didn't know if it was like boredom or if it was.
Wasn't a great parade, right? And do you disagree with me? I know the military people, if they hear that I said the Army looked like a bunch of slackers, they're gonna say, "Oh,
when I was watching, what I did watch, they weren't in unison per se, but they also didn't look like, how should I put it? I've been to like military parades before, and I've been to official military events, and there's a stoicism to it. There's like the faces like almost all the same, and it's not, you can't say that they want to be there or that they don't want to be there, but you can all tell that they take what they're doing seriously.
Yeah.
I didn't get that here. It's like one guy, I swear, I thought if they show a close up of this guy's face and Trump sees it, he's getting knocked out the Army. He'll be the example because he looked like Marco Rubio probably felt. It's like I'm only here because I have to be here. But like Melania, he probably was like the military version of Melania. I have to be here. Why are you here?
I almost said that poor woman, but she's not a poor. She did this to herself. I mean, when you're a
and
whore, you sell
poor.
your soul. You don't get to get your soul back. It's gone. You sold it.
Yeah, because if you check this is the thing, they don't check the conditions when they sign those deals with the devil. When you sell your soul, it says right there, as is, right at the bottom, as is, and no returns.
Yeah.
But the best they could do is get a hell credit. They can't get a refund.
Have a hell credit.
Yeah, hell credit. That's it.
Not bad.
Hell credit.
I don't know. What can you get at the health store with your $20 coupon or whatever you get? I don't know what you get. So yesterday I participated with the Rev, but I was having technical difficulties. I was trying to look up the picture of the Vance Bogoroff, whatever his name is, and pushing buttons, and all of a sudden sorts of sound effects were going off and stuff, and I don't know why, because I wasn't even on the StreamYard website. I was on Google looking up his picture, and I couldn't get back there to stop it. Very weird stuff. But
at least one of them was appropriate, kind of. It was a laughter, and there was like a laugh track, and I was like, and it was like a joke that I told. I just wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting to hear like canned laughter, because I don't use canned laughter. I just if I'm doing it deadpan, and it's a joke, I just accept the fact that there's no laughter, plain and simple. It's like one of my shows. I'm used to it.
So Nina's way late. She's not coming, right? She's not coming. Again, this is weird. Why?
She's giving my people a bad name, and by people I mean people in entertainment.
Well, I was hoping that we get somebody. Well, I'm looking at it. It's not like she's got a whole catalog of films that she's produced, but I was just, we want to get some parts in some movies here. My thing with Jake,
and I have a script I want her to tell me how great it is.
I know you got your pilot too, right? Is that what you're talking?
Yeah, I'm talking about my pilot.
Yeah.
Here's the funny, because I I have a particular style of writing that is because I'm not a trained, I'm not trained in the arts of screenwriting or anything like that. I have a vision, and I try to put the vision down in words. And so I know that whoever reads it is going to go, I don't get it. I don't get it. But once it's produced, people go like, I get it. Oh yeah, okay. So
But wait, you ran it past Dylan. Did Dylan say he didn't get it, or he got it, right?
I ran it past Dylan, and see, like, for example, it's he likes a lot of conflict, and it's not a lot, but for example, he doesn't think I have damn it, I like to tease people with things, and he likes things resolved. I like to say something and put it out there, and it's like, and if you pay attention, you'll get the answer to that. And he's like, you set this up, and I want to know, how's it end? It's like, well, this is the pilot of a series. It's like, I'm not going to resolve everything.
It doesn't end. It doesn't end for 17 years, and then it ends. It just fades to black with the guy sitting there, and you wonder if he got killed or what.
But the one thing I am concerned about more than anything else is not his opinion of the way I write, but the actual formatting.
Right.
And I actually thought he said it was better, but then he listed like the hundreds of things I did wrong just in formatting, not even, not just the formatting.
Well, there is a software that'll do that for you.
I tried to take my script, and I had someone who does this for a living. This is what they do. And they took my script and they tried to input it so that it would be formatted. And he said that by the time they was done, it would have been easier for me to just type it in by hand, because it screwed things up so badly trying to insert things where it belonged. That'd be better off typing it in by hand. And then he gave me some sites where you could get free templates. And my virus protection would not let me install any of them. Like, I started I have AVG. It goes, no, there's malicious software attached to this, and it just disconnected. Didn't even say like
you want to proceed further, yeah.
Right. Do you want to proceed? This is like, no, we're disconnecting. And I'm thinking, wow, that must be pretty bad shit.
Yeah, she's got chlamydia. Don't touch her.
Right. Yeah. It didn't even say, do you want to proceed? It just like, no. It didn't say proceed at your own risk. AVG is like, look, you're paying me to do a job. If I let you go with this, if I let you make a decision, I'm not doing my job.
All right. I want to go here because Nina's not going to show up. It looks like we got a lot of time fucking killed. I saw you and Box Eating Dad in the chat room.
I'll talk about Dylan, and he just posted something on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I got something from Dylan here, but let me talk about that really quick. You are here at Dylan Brody Project, June 25th, 10 p.m., Marina Del Rey Film Festival, Culver Theater, Culver Boulevard, Culver City, California. If I were out there, I would go. That's all I'm telling you about it. This is Dylan Brody Project. You are here. I guess it's a short film. I don't know what it looks like, a short film. I would go if I were out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, you and Box Eating Dad were Box Eating Dad mentioned Blind Mike after church yesterday. I watched the Blind Mike show while I was preparing to go for my paint party. So I didn't watch all of it. I watched as much as I could. Now, a couple of things I want to say here. First of all, you did get mentioned in the show, and not in a good way.
Okay.
I was in the chat room, and that Hack Ride Studios, the guy who did the male avatar in this thing, he said, still, hey dog, still no apology from GD. And my first thought was, what does GD have to apologize for? I don't know why. And my second thought was, why does everybody need a fucking apology for something? And my third thought was, I'm not GD's keeper. If you got a problem with GD, address it to him.
And they all know how to reach me. They all know how to reach me. They just don't want to.
And then as the show went on, I think he mentioned to Mike that I was in the room. And he said, and the guy and Eric said, "Fuck him." And Mike said, "No, I like the dog. He's okay." And he said, "And fuck GD Fenderson." And I was like, now my first thought was, that's sad. I thought we had made détente between GD and Mike, and then I thought, well, maybe that's good. Maybe this thing's not over, and maybe I could still find a way to monetize an argument here. I
Well,
just don't.
I don't pay attention to it though. I'm not paying attention to it. So my understanding is that they want an apology because they think I called Blind Mike stupid.
Right.
And I don't think I called him stupid. I think I called what they did stupid. You understand the difference? It's like if someone says the Three Stooges are stupid, and they're not talking about their intellect, they're talking about just the show, their humor.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that I didn't watch the Three Stooges. I did. I watched the Three Stooges because they were stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I watched them. That's why I logged in, and that was what my intention was. At least that's what I thought I was saying when I said that the Blind Mike project was stupid.
Yeah.
It's that's it. It's not highbrow humor. It's not the kind of stuff I would watch if I were trying to be, learn something about comedy or anything like that. It's but it was amusing.
Right.
And I said I laughed out loud, and I did laugh out loud.
You were not the focus of the show. You just came up in the, but
Yeah,
the show started with a discovery by me that Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports has a thing with Mike, and Mike used to be on that show. Now that is impressive to me. I don't know how much you know about Barstool Sports.
I have no idea I don't know either one of those. I don't know Dave Portnoy or the Barstool Sports.
I would love it if Dave Portnoy would attack me in any way. But I was never on the show. Apparently, he hired Mike to be on the show as a sports commentator, which I find really confusing because I didn't think sports was Mike's forte or interest, being legally blind. That's a difficult thing to get into. But Dave Portnoy has this Barstool Sports. It's a fucking gigantic money-making thing with a big audience. And Dave is a guy who likes to get political. And he is very right-wing, although every once in a while he takes issue with stuff Trump does. But he's very controversial on Twitter, and I've argued with him, but I can't get him to argue with me. But here's what the reason I even brought this up is because I look at Mike, and Mike is funny and he's smart. First of all, Portnoy said, "You're not funny," and Mike agreed with him. Yeah, I'm not funny. I'm also blind and I'm fat. And I was like, well, you're not fat, but you are funny. So why are you agreeing with this dipshit who says you're not funny? I don't know if he doesn't seem fat to me, and I don't think he's completely blind. So none of those.
No, he's just legally blind, right? He's not
right.
completely right.
So, but then I look at his numbers, and he's got 11,000 subscribers. I think this show should have his show. It's a pretty good show. If you watch it as long as I did yesterday, there are some really good things that he brought. His insights into people like Brendan Schaub and all this stuff are spot on, and he had me laughing. And I'm thinking, this show is really good. Why does he only have 11,000 subscribers to it? Because he's got active subscribers that are giving him money. These super chats. I'm like, well, he's got active people. Why is that number so low? To me, I would expect that, especially for the time he's doing it, 100,000.
Well, because he attacks me too much, and my four fans don't like it. Otherwise, he'd have 11,004 people.
That's it. You're right. But the other thing, he had Carl Hamburger on. Who are these podcasts? That guy,
right? Yeah.
And apparently, Carl has a stalker, and I'm so fucking confused. Chad Zumock is a comedian that I've seen on Twitter, and he bashes a lot of comedians. He gets into a lot of controversial stuff with comedians. Now there's this guy, Skinny Chad, who may or may not be an alter ego of Chad Zumock, but he doesn't look anything like him. And he was on call with Carl Hamburger, and they were discussing how he sent him a pair of pants and asked him to try them on and take a photograph with them. And that sounds a little kinky, weird. You're kind of a stalker, weird dude. And so that was going on. But I'm like, they're all acting like Chad Zumock and the skinny Chad are one and the same person. Skinny Chad is 3 times fatter than the Chad Zuma pictures that I've seen. I just don't get. I'm like, who the why? It's all going over my head. I'm like, all too. It's Sunday morning, man. Fucking go easy on me. I don't know if this Chad Zumach and Skinny Chad are the same person or not. It's just why would you be a stalker for Carl Hamburger? And none of it made sense to me.
Well, maybe we're just too old to get it. I don't know.
That could be it. I'm definitely on that.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with the show. Like I said, I laughed a few times. I just my only problem was the misrepresentation. Once they got that right, once they get the timetable right, I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Well, I feel the misrepresentation now too, because this Hack Studios guy is acting like I was not nice to my. Well, one of the things he said about you, he said I'm platforming you. It's platforming. This is more like a shoebox than a platform. But he said you're platforming a guy who is mean to blind people. I was like, that's not true. You're taking things way out of context there. Maybe there were words going back between him and one guy who happens to be legally blind, but that's not the same as being mean to blind people. And like that, now you're misrepresenting GD and what he's all about and what I'm doing. I'm not platforming him and giving him a thing to be beat up on blind people. It's just fucking ridiculous. So this hack.
So what but they don't care that I beat up on Steven. It's not, it's fine for me to beat up on people in a wheelchair, but I can't beat up on people who pretty much denigrate my comedy.
Right.
I mean, even if I took it personally, I should have like the right, or at least the even if I don't have the right, I guess the right, free speech, to defend myself and my comedy and my work, my body of work. You would think I would be entitled to that.
Yeah. But
so
then
I don't get it.
They were complaining. Now, when Mike said, "I like the dog," and he said, "Yeah, but he doesn't. He doesn't go hard enough on GD." I was like, "If you don't think I've been abusive to GD, you've never even watched the show. You've never watched the show. I abuse everybody in my life. This is if you look at my first divorce paper, it said he's predisposed. He's a natural abuser, predisposed to abuse. That's what
I think. You know what I think? I think it's not that you don't attack me enough. Maybe compared to Steven, because when you go at Steven, you're like good, like you say things to him that I don't even want to repeat. Only because I don't want it to be attached to my name. Right. I think he's a child enthusiast. Okay, I don't want to say the P word.
It's fine. But you go. Steven ain't even the worst of it. You could start with Willie. I mean,
yeah. So, but I think that I'm not giving the reaction that they want. Like they want me to go like, "Boo hoo! Don't be mean to me." It's like, I'm it's not like that. Even if you look, I spent I broke I don't know how many cups and things because you would not admit that I was funnier than Tom Segura. Okay, no.
Come on, I'm an abusive to Tom Segura. I don't even know Tom Segura. I'm an abuser. I'm an abusive person. Everybody in my life I abuse. So it should,
and Blind Mike has at least watched 1 hour and 3 minutes of my first comedy thing I put on YouTube. The 90-minute show or 2-hour show. That's the only way you've watched any of it because of Blind Mike.
That's true. So I think he's misrepresenting me right now. First of all, this whole idea of giving you a platform, like this is not a platform. We don't have, I think on a good day we might get 4,000 or 5,000 viewers on all the platforms put together. Well, on YouTube, there are days when we get 1,000, 1,500, and there are days when we get 30 or 40. So I mean, that's not a platform. It's a fucking hangout, is what it is. It's a shoebox where anybody could fucking put their fucking stinky feet in the shoebox or something. I don't know. I want to move along and leave that story behind. Titus Titus being on the forefront of the Harris actually won the election. It just seems very weird to me that Titus would be the first one months later. I mean, 5, 6 months later to come out and do an expose on this, and then the media wants to pick up on it. Oh yeah, maybe he's onto something, and they're citing him as their source or his show as the source. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why that all of a sudden? It doesn't make sense. Have you watched any of that Titus stuff?
No, I haven't. Sorry, Nina has arrived.
I know. We'll get to her in just one minute, but
Okay.
I'm just curious about this. It's for me, and I just want to curious about your feeling on it. For me, it's really frustrating. If this is the case, why Harris and Biden just didn't even question it? And can anything be done about it if it is proven now? What's your take on that?
The only thing that can be done, as far as I can tell, because since Trump is in control of the Justice Department, they'd be the ones that would have to investigate. That's not going to happen. So something akin to what happened in New York, where Bragg found statewide election fraud, state election fraud that he could prosecute on. So, sorry, only states where democratically controlled states that want to go after them for any state, any violations of state election fraud, state election laws. That's it. Because other than that, there's no recourse. If the Democrats somehow regain control and get enough to remove Trump from office, we're still stuck with the policy that he's already implemented. Then we're stuck with Vance, who's on the same ticket. So Vance also benefited from the same thievery. So even if they got rid of Trump, they have Vance, unless they can find a way to show that Vance is also dirty. Good luck with the double impeachment, double removal from office.
Yeah, it's not even an impeachment, right? It's just claiming that the election was rigged. That's a whole new constitutional ground. There's nothing in the Constitution that covers rigged elections. Right?
No.
I mean, impeachment doesn't even seem to be a recourse for that. So it's really confusing. Like, why it seems counterproductive to even have the conversation that it might have happened, because we can't do anything about it anyway, and that's just going to just make the climate even uglier.
Now, what we should do, look, we need to revisit the Constitution anyway, because it's long overdue.
I have it right here.
It was long overdue to be repaired. And one of the things, because when they wrote it, they had certain assumptions about wealth, certain assumptions about power, certain assumptions about people. And a lot of that stuff didn't pan out. They never thought that people would elect a criminal. So they didn't say don't elect a criminal, or that you can't elect a criminal. They never thought that a president would, somebody would use that office of president to enrich themselves. I mean, they had the emoluments clause, but there's but nobody's going to push it, because only an honorable person want to lead the country. They had these, these blind, like I said,
don't be mean to blind people now.
Well, prejudice. And they had these prejudices towards rich and wealthy people and against poor people. It's kind of like I'm thinking about Andy Harris, representative from Maryland in the district next to mine. I can't remember what the number is, but at a town hall meeting, he said that wealthy people are more ethical than poor people. I mean, he just came out. He said that, it's out there. It's like he said that at a town hall.
Wow.
And I try not to. Well, when he was still my congressman, I would not let him forget it. But he's not my congressman anymore, so I don't troll him anymore.
Is Jamie Raskin your congressman?
No, it's I have trouble pronouncing his last name, but he knows that people can't pronounce it, so he just calls himself Jimmy O. It's like Jimmy Olinsky or Odekirk or something like that.
I really want to get Jamie Raskin on the program. I think he might do it.
I think Raskin might be Elizabeth Croydon's representative, and I think they actually have a relationship.
So she'll get him first. All right, let's get to Nina, because it's been too long coming. hasn't it?
Yeah.
Nina Brooks hails from Pittsburgh, PA, and she is a versatile author, screenplay writer, producer, and content creator. Her work in film has premiered at prestigious festivals worldwide, including the Mediterranean Film Festival, Cannes, Pan African Film Festival, and the Michaud Film Festival, alongside numerous national and international film festivals. Nina has collaborated with award-winning filmmakers and contributed to productions such as the acclaimed TV series The Family Business. Nina's creative journey began at the Pittsburgh High School for Creative and Performing Arts, and she's here now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say hello to Nina Brooks. Good morning, Nina.
Good morning.
So are you still in Pittsburgh?
I am in Pittsburgh today. Yes.
Are you familiar with an actress named Jess Paul?
No, I'm not.
She's a friend of the program. She was a co-host for a while. She's from Pittsburgh, and she's been in lots of films, and now she's got one coming out that is going. I think it's a major studio is behind it.
Can you say her name again?
Jess Paul, like Les Paul, the guitar, or the guy who invented the guitar. Jess, so Jessica Paul.
No, unfortunately, I don't know Jess. I just returned to Pittsburgh. I've been gone for several years. I hail from Pittsburgh, but I just came back from Los Angeles after the wildfires. So yeah, so
how many cars did you burn, and how many blocks did you set on fire? Otherwise, you wouldn't have had to leave.
Yeah, I left because it was quite scary. I was actually over it. I was over the wildfires. I was over the earthquakes. I was over it. I was over the high cost of living. I was over the taxes. I was over it. So
now, so what made you go there? Because I had friends who migrated there for the entertainment business, and I was out there with them. And they said, this is where you have to be. And I learned all of what you're saying. I learned back in the 90s. I said, well, this is too expensive. This is like and they didn't have the wildfires, but they had the mudslides and the earthquakes back in the 90s.
They've always had that.
Yeah. So I don't remember the wildfires. At least it didn't figure prominently in my head. And I said, I can't live here. And
the wildfires, that's true. The wildfires have always been there, but not quite as close. They got as close as 2.5 miles from my house. I was living in a Sherman Oaks area. I was surrounded by 7 wildfires. That was quite scary. 7.
Well, the thing that triggered me saying that always happened was the mudslides, because I remember being there in 1981, 82, and the mudslides in the Hollywood Hills and all that stuff were really, really, really bad. And up by the beach.
The mudslides the mudslides get to you as well, but not as much as the wildfires because they came very close.
With the wildfires, though, you kind of get warning. Well, I guess you get warning with the mudslide.
The wildfires this time around, they were pretty bad, and they were sending out false warnings. I was getting warnings at 3:30 in the morning to evacuate my area. It was a false warning. Several times during these wildfires, the way that they handled them, it was. I think it was chaotic at best because they had never dealt with them at this magnitude before, to where the wildfires were actually coming into the suburban areas and people were evacuating entire communities. It's different from when they start creeping into the hills. People are used to wildfires when they creep into the hills, but I don't know if you guys remember when Paradise was wiped out by wildfires several years back, right? Well, that's exactly how it wiped out the Palisades. And then it started moving through other areas as well, like the Encino Hills. It started coming into the valley a little bit more, which is where I was located. So it was quite scary for me. And you're right, I did migrate to Los Angeles for the entertainment industry. And as soon as I got there, COVID hit.
Wow.
So you brought COVID to California, is what you're saying.
Right, and then started a bunch of fires and mudslides.
I think we just broke news here. Nina brought COVID to California.
Yeah, so I moved to LA because I was trying to pitch my series, The Lover's Life, my TV series, and I got there in 2019, and I ramped up fairly quickly. I started working. I started getting like gigs on shows, and my network was really heavy and I was doing well. And then all of a sudden COVID hit.
Wow.
And it just put a full stop on everything, including pitching The Lover's Life. And it stayed that way for 2 years. And then we had to go through the process of reorganizing life and adjusting to a new sense of normality after that.
Yeah. By the way, Lover's Life with the Lyfe.
Thank you.
Life. Your website is going across the bottom at realfilmsmedia.com. And here's because we have a lot of creatives, and you actively seek people with screenwriters to help them with their screenplays and all that kind of stuff. Does it get like overwhelming? Because I think if you put that out there, there are so many people who have a draft or a screenplay they want to get produced, that even just putting the fact that you provide this service out there would get you so many submissions that you can't possibly even review them all. Am I correct, or am I?
That is correct. I get submissions daily. For my production company, we're a full production company, but we're an independent production company, and therefore we do not provide funding. And
Right.
so oftentimes I'm overwhelmed with people who are seeking funding for their body of work that they've created. They're seeking someone to collaborate with them. They're seeking a production studio to collaborate with them. They're seeking someone to write their screenplays, which I do. I do break down screenplays for line production. I also write screenplays, and I produce and I direct as well, right? And so it is quite overwhelming because I also have a real life.
Right.
And so
What? No, I'm sorry. You can't do that. You can't have
She has a real
life.
life with a Y. L-I-L-Y.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's acceptable.
I do. I'm a software engineer. And so I have a real life where, I have to juggle being a software engineer and, exploring the creative side. And I want to choose one. It's just one doesn't pay as well as the others.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, because I noticed that you have a master's in science, a master's of science.
Yes.
In leadership from I think I'm Duckanese, right? Duckanese. I know. Yeah. Duckanese University. So
yes.
Wow. So I was wondering about that and applying that to the arts, because I'm looking at your educational background, and your educational background says I'm going to make money, and then your love says, but I'm poor for the
I don't know if
arts.
there's money in science, just to be fair, and a lot of scientists are broke too.
Well, you can make if you depends on what you study. I guess if you study alchemy, you can actually take copper or lead and turn it into gold.
That's true. I'll let you answer. I'm sorry, Nina. That question was for you, but I couldn't resist saying all the scientists I know are broke. So
well, the two kind of go hand in hand, and I'll tell you how I apply that. So in the software development world, where you're building out applications for major organizations, and I've worked with some major organizations. In fact, during COVID, I worked with the state of California to implement the myturn.gov volunteer site. We implemented that to administer or receive the COVID vaccine, which is a great body of work. When you work in software development, there is a system that is very relative to film production, and it's called System Design Lifecycle. That system design lifecycle that you apply can be applied to different methodologies like waterfall or agile. I prefer agile in the film industry because it's an iterative process that allows you to kind of build off of what you have started to create. So you have, instead of being called weekly meetings in that world, they're called daily stand-ups or weekly stand-ups. And it's just making all of the moving parts fit together. And then you make changes as you need to, as you go along, all the way up until the day of production. And it is the same way in the software development world, and can be applied and be very high and be highly effective. And so I've done it in both of my independent films. My second independent film is called The Passport. And I wrote, created, and directed that as well, and produced that as well. Alongside some heavy hitters that were there to mentor me and guide me along, like Ime Alaquiva and Jasmine Lewis and Cindy Fernandez Dixon. So I had some help with that as being my first time directing. However, I did use those methodologies and that practice, and I apply that when I work in film, and it's very effective.
Well, you brought up funding. We just kind of skimmed over it. This is the $69,000 question. Where we're going to get that $69,000 from? We have to find we have to do some fundraising. Your films, I'm assuming. You either learned how to raise funds and get backing for your films, or you paid for them yourself. Those are two ways to do it.
That's right.
Do you consult with people on what you've learned as far as?
Yes.
Because that's the most important part. Right? Where's the money coming from? Right.
That's right. And I also wanted to add that I did go to the high school for the creative and performing arts here in Pittsburgh and the junior high school. And I started out in the arts world when I was about 9 years old as a dancer. But here's what I'll say about funding. Funding is tricky. You really should not use your own money. And the way that I will often raise money is I will take on more than one software development project, and I will work remotely. And I'll take one contract, because I work independently as well in the technology world. And I'll take funding from one contract that I'm making, and I will apply that in film. And the other funding is for my real life, that I have to pay my bills, my mortgage, my card, like everybody else does, right?
Yeah.
Now, raising money in the film industry is very, very tricky, and it's very, very difficult. Finding people who will champion you, finding people who will sponsor you, and actually raising the money takes a very disciplined approach to raising money in film. Raising money in film could be inclusive of putting your body of work out on Indiegogo and trying to find people who will invest in you. Oftentimes it's not enough. Sometimes if you can find the right person in the industry to champion you, people will fund you. I haven't had that luck yet. So
I believe everything you just said. I just want to say that, because I believe everything you say, it makes it really confusing when I see people willing to put $150 million behind the next remake or Marvel movie or any of this stuff. So it's kind of, you can have people wanting to spend way too much money on garbage or just stuff that is not of any redeemable quality for society or anything like this. And then you get good projects where there are people like you with great ideas and new, fresh ideas and important things to say to the world. And there's no money for that. And that's really frustrating. It's got to be one of your biggest frustrations as far as being an artist, is knowing that there's money out there. If you want to go as lowbrow as you can possibly go, you can probably get more money than if you try to do anything of significance. Yes,
it's really, really difficult. I've not found an easy pathway. There's often grant money. Grant money comes in cycles. It's a very cyclical world, and finding someone who knows how to write grants so that you can actually obtain that money is a different story as well. I know that the Pittsburgh Foundation has a grant that they give of about $20,000 to independent artists every year. Now, if your film is very low budget and it's going to cost you under $20,000 and you need that to also eat and pay your bills, maybe that's effective. But finding, like you said, money of upwards of $1 million, which is typically what it takes to have, to create something really beautiful and with high quality, because the two things that you definitely don't want to cheat yourself on when you're creating your film is sound and lighting, right? The two most important things in film development outside of editing is sound and lighting. If you got poor quality of sound, your film is not going to sound great. And I mean, it's going to sound like those old bootleg films from the 1990s.
I know.
Now, by chance, did you see the documentary Bowfinger with Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin? And if so, do you ascribe to the way they low budgeted a movie? It's a documentary.
Yeah, that movie was super low budget. I remember that movie from back in the day. Yeah, it's been quite some time since I've watched it. You're going to make me go watch it again.
I don't even recall it. I don't remember it at all.
It's a documentary. It's a documentary about how to make a film on a shoestring budget. You should watch it.
I should. I guess.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah. But
yeah.
my first film though, we funded ourselves. My husband and I funded it ourselves. We raised every single dime. We overpaid people. We were taken advantage of by
Now,
people.
did you pay them in money or in pizza? Because the first time I did
Oh
something,
no.
I wound up trying to pay
Oh
people.
no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
I
No.
paid I mean, I paid the sound people in with real money, and my camera people with real money. But the rest of the crew got paid in pizza and good jobs.
Yeah. Yeah,
Attaboys and
no.
attagirls.
No. I had at the end of the day, by the time we were done, I had over 100 people under me on the set of The Lover's Life when it was all said and done. And so it was a full scale, high level production set, which we hired the best people in the industry. And you can tell just by watching it how beautiful it is, right? The quality of it, the sound. I had some amazing people. It was my first time producing as well. So I leaned heavily on the team to kind of guide me along. And I had amazing people like Caitlin Walker, Ime Alaquiva, who was already an Emmy Award winner when he joined the team as director, Jalon Wright, just to name a few people who were on set who helped us out. I could go on and on. The people who were really, really highly effective in helping us. The sound people that we had used were also amazing people. We had people who had only worked on major films in Pittsburgh, like Batman and The Dark Knight Rises, and set designers who had worked on high level productions as well. So those are the people that I hired for The Lover's Life. And to be honest, I almost gained some traction with it about close to a year ago. I was working with a team and in a network that I won't name. They made me an offer of a low budget of 2.8 for 13 episodes for this season, for the series. And I pushed out a whole film schedule for them, and we were right at closing, and someone in the middleman's family died suddenly, and they ghosted me, and I did not
Wow.
hear back from them. And that's all I heard, was that someone had died. And but I had received accolades from the network that it was probably the best quality of an independent film that they had seen in quite some time, and it was beautiful. So, I mean, I'm not done pushing it yet, but I certainly need to get back on the saddle and get out there and start pushing it again, because things like that kind of knock the wind out of your sails.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. And to be honest, I've been down that road before, and I am not a big fan of the human race. And when I hear that story of like, this ain't adding up, just because somebody in your family does, and it's a terrible thing, but you don't stop your plans. Your life goes on. You don't stop. If you were committed to an artistic, somebody's bullshitting somebody in that.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And what they asked us for was to retain the insurance. We needed a bond to obtain the insurance, and I was also able to raise the money for the bond to obtain the insurance for the film. And they still, because that's what they were pushing for, and they still came back, and they still didn't come back with it. So
Right.
I have no idea what happened. Maybe somebody was bullshitting me. I
Yeah.
hope not, but that's the way life goes. And we know that this industry is also very sticky when it comes to that. You
Yeah,
got to
and
watch out for all the pitfalls and all the people who are out there trying to use you, man.
yeah, broken hearts and it's if you're an artist, broken heart comes with the territory. You got once you
Absolutely.
decide to become an artist, you have to know you're gonna get your heart broken lots of times. You have to be a
Absolutely.
glutton for heartbreak.
I swear, I'm a martyr at this point.
Yes.
You should
No,
thank me.
I think good preparation for entertainment is being rejected by people you like in elementary school. You like you send them a little note, and the little note would be like a script or a treatment that you're sending to a producer or a director or
Right?
someone. You sent this little note. It's like a little treatment, says, "Do you like me? Yes or no?" And then they come back and go, "It's in the wrong format. You used the wrong format." It's
Oh, we're back to formatting again.
no, because that's
about
Right?
formatting.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but fortunately for me, I learned rejection at an early age. My very first audition was in front of Chef Brockett from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Wow.
Right? So he used to run the CLO theater here in Pittsburgh for many, many years up until he died. He would hold auditions for the Civic Light Opera cast, right? Every year. And so I was 9 years old. I got in front of Chef Brockett and I had to sing. And then I was in another group of children where I had to dance because it was for theater production. And that was my first taste of rejection when I was 9 years old. And then I went to the junior high school for the performing arts, and I constantly auditioned for films and for different theaters and different places in acting. And some I got accepted, and some I got rejected. So fortunately for me, I learned rejection at an early age, and I learned how to navigate at a very early age. So rejection doesn't stop me. What stops me is bullshit. That's what stops me, right? You know, when people are bullshitting you, and then it kind of takes the wind out of your sails. And so,
yeah, because in a way, you want to believe that people want to believe in you. You
yeah,
know, and I mean that's my biggest issue. That and that's probably one thing that probably led to my lack of success is the fact that I grew up trusting people.
yep.
And then I mean I was just so trusting, and every single time I wasn't rewarded for my trust. And it just got to the point where I'm like, I just had to do it myself. And to be honest, I was never good enough to do it myself. I always needed everything I want to do, I've always needed help to do. But whenever I reached out for help, I was always let down. And so it's now I'm 66 years old, and you know,
I had a flashback to Andy Andrews made me have James Inman on the program, and James Inman was a disaster. And I said, Andy, what did you do? He said, you fucked up. You trusted me. So now on the website, I want to talk about it because I did watch the trailers for the Lover's Life web series and the Passport. Great work, and I'm interested in both. But the one there's no trailer for has me really intrigued because it looks like this is something that this is made for me. It's a period piece, almost.
Board Boulevard. That
almost promised.
That one.
Oh, Board Boulevard. So that's actually
he was on top of Board Boulevard. I was being obnoxious.
that's not my project, actually, but
no, yeah, it's not your project. It's in pre-production still.
No, yeah, I do like the idea of the animated series, animated stuff, but the Almost Promised looks like
thank you.
An
I love that show. I wrote that show. That show is based on a true story about my grandmother, believe it or not. My grandmother migrated from the South up to Pittsburgh in the 40s, and she met a Jewish family who really helped her along. If I can say their name, they're a very prominent family in Pittsburgh. They're the Emhoffs, and they helped her greatly. They encouraged her to go to nursing school or become a teacher. She went to nursing school and became an RN. She had 7 children. She was raising her kids, and so she would work for the Emhoffs by day and, you know, take care of their kids, clean their house, all of that stuff. And then she would go to school at night. And they actually sold her first house. She turned the basement into a speakeasy, boarded other rooms, right? My grandmother was a hustler. And then after she got her RN and she fixed up her house, my grandmother actually had opened up a restaurant. She did many things, but she started buying property in Pittsburgh. She died a wealthy woman. I love this story so much because the two, and a lot of the story is embellished, right? But I had to find a commonality in the relationship because she's not alive anymore for me to even interview her. But I had to find a commonality between the two families and really understand what the basis for that would have been.
Right.
And during World War II, the basis for that was that Black families and Jewish families came together very closely because they really did understand that they were both had
Persecuted.
suffered
Yeah.
a high level of genocide, right,
Yeah.
within the race, and so that was the commonality that I had to find within the storyline, and
Wow.
so yeah, so I would
So relevant today.
for sure.
And I hate because I'm going to drag you into the political thing, and if you're shy about it, don't worry, we'll just skip
Not
over
shy.
it. But I feel like, and I'm going to get labeled as being anti-Semitic for saying this. World War II wasn't about Jewishness. It wasn't about Jewish hate. It was about scapegoatingism. And the people, the Nazis would use, they'd scapegoat anybody. Today, it's brown and Latino people, but it's the same scapegoatism. It doesn't matter. It's just whoever is convenient. Who can we use to point the hatred at and eliminate these people? It's not necessary. It wasn't Jewish hate. It was just they were convenient scapegoats. And that is the one thing you're talking about in commonality. It's scapegoats. Who can we hate and make people afraid of? And if we can make people afraid of them, we can use that to gain power over them. And so, yeah, that commonality is back again today. And I think if we don't recognize it, that it could be you next time.
Not
You know,
not enough of us are recognizing that,
right.
right? Too many of us are hiding or actually hiding behind that and making it be about something else. What I really don't understand, and I got to be careful about what I say because
Obviously. Yeah.
I do have some heavily charged personal views about what's happening in the political world right now, and one of them is the whole mega thing that community of people, they have to be like the dregs of humanity, if
Right.
you ask me, because how can you go to church on Sunday and deport people on Monday, right?
Yeah.
I just don't understand it, and they call themselves Christians.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I feel that you voted for him, and so now you're getting everything that you asked for. All the communities who chimed in, and they were all waving their mega flags and saying they couldn't, or I can't say the name correctly because I don't even want to, but they're waving their flags and they're saying, yes, let's join forces with the new president and let's get this thing done. And now they're all being deported.
Right. Yeah.
Every last one of them. The
Uh,
families are being ripped apart.
yeah.
The economy is being ripped apart. I mean, I do have my own views, but I'll stop there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No, I think
yeah,
you'll find people who are sympathetic to your views here because GD and I both I would, and I'm not ashamed to speak for him in this. We agree with you.
yep, yep.
uh, so yeah. But now because you were talking about grant money and all this stuff, does the political climate change things for filmmakers because they are trying to take money away from the arts, like National Endowment for the Arts and National
Yeah,
Public Radio and all this stuff.
yeah.
Is that change your outlook on how to approach? Uh,
It does. It's just grant writing, and I've applied for several grants. Grant writing is a very um, arduous task. It's
yeah,
very arduous, right? So the approach to grant writing, the grant writing applications are not simple. Oftentimes they're very biased, and so admittedly, I attended a film market called MIPCOM. MIPCOM takes place in Europe every year in the south of France at Cannes. And I attended a seminar on grant writing. And during the seminar on grant writing, there were, and I won't name their names, but there were three specific funding organizations that were on stage talking about how they decide to give out money. And I stood up and I asked, because I'm very vocal about my views and my opinions. And when I have something that I want to know, I ask. And I'm not afraid to do that. So I stood up and I said, I would like to know, as an independent filmmaker, as a female filmmaker, and as a woman of color, I have, I'm a triple What is it? What did I say? I'm a
What
triple
is that?
minority. I'm a
Yeah.
triple minority, right? How do you decide to issue out grant money to people who are overlooked and underrepresented in the film industry? Because as a woman and as a minority woman in the filmmaking industry, I am overlooked and underrepresented compared to my white male counterparts. And they said, one of them said, well, I don't want to answer that question because I might get in trouble. And then the other,
Wow.
yes. And then the other person said,
Have you tried being white male?
right? The other person said, well, we have a filtering system. Someone actually refused the applications before they even get to us, and they filter out the applications.
Wow. Well, that first one, I can't talk about it. Whenever somebody says I can't talk about it, it might get me in trouble. That's kind of a self-indictment. It's like saying,
Absolutely. And that's the answer. That was the answer right there, right?
yeah.
And so it's very, very difficult. That's why I said finding someone to champion you in this industry is probably the thing that you have to do unless you, there are so many, I'm not even going to say unless you have this amazing script, because as a reader for the Austin Film Festival and making the decision for, where the scripts go, I can honestly tell you that I've seen some outstanding and amazing screenplay writing. I have. And there are gatekeepers who decide what scripts go and what scripts don't. So you can have the screenplay of the year that can possibly win a Pulitzer. Who knows?
Right.
But the powers that be make the decisions on who gets the money and who doesn't. Now I have seen some folks. I know an independent filmmaker myself, and she's an actress and director, and who worked her ass off in networking, and she found a family who was willing to give her $1 million, and she independently filmed her, was able to get her film off the ground.
Right.
But she had to do a lot of networking for that, and she obviously has a lot more time in her hands than I do.
So here's maybe you can clear this, and maybe not. Maybe it's just as confusing to you. But the people are saying there are no new ideas out there, so we keep going back to making remakes. There are a plethora of great new ideas and great works out there that they're just ignoring. So is it just a convenient excuse to say there's no ideas out there? Because there certainly seem to be, and they're just ignoring them on purpose. Is it a, I don't want to say conspiracy, but it's all about, we know that the remakes and the Marvel movies are going to excite and be really easy to market and get some people out. So that's all that matters. We don't care about art. We don't care about quality. Instead of saying that, there's just no great ideas, good ideas. Nobody's coming up with any good ideas. What's your take?
At the end of the day, the film industry is all about money.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. What's going to make the most money? So do they take a risk on an unknown like me?
Yeah.
There's a heavy risk on taking a chance on an unknown and bringing them into that world, right?
See, I think they need to do it. Of course, this is me being a totally unsuccessful person in the entertainment industry. But when I was younger,
nobody's perfect.
When I was younger, I had an album budget. I used to, when I saved up so much money, and I had, let's say, $30 at the end of the month, and I'd go out and buy albums. And I would say, one album, I would buy something tried and true, something that I know that I'm going to like. Another album would be something that I know nothing about, that someone would recommend. Someone says, you should like the first time I heard Chick Corea, it was like a recommendation. I didn't know who Chick Corea was, and they went, here, try Chick Corea. And then the third album was, I'd go to the cut pile, the $1 albums that have all been cut there, like nobody wants, nobody likes, and I would buy like 2 or 3 of those $1 albums, just random things. I just like randomly grab them and then listen to them. But that
used
was like,
to be the old studio model. What you're talking about, they would put certain budgets towards things that were untested and new. That seems to have gone away. But so the question for you, Nina, where all this ties in is when you, because let me preface this by saying my thing about cancel culture is not the comedians who got canceled. It's the stopping of the new ideas from comedians who cancel their own ideas or censor themselves in writing. When you're writing a piece like Almost Promised, which again, I'll keep this, just a photograph here just speaks to my heart. And when you're writing a period piece like that, because it's a really difficult production to kind of create a whole Pittsburgh 50, 60, 80 years ago, whatever it was, it makes it harder to produce. Does that stop you from writing something like that? Or does it hinder you in saying, you know what, this is going to be really hard to get funded because of it's a difficult piece to produce? Let me scrap the whole idea. Does it kind of put that thought in your mind?
No, as a producer, I definitely wear my my line producer hat when I'm writing. As a writer, sorry, I wear my line producer hat when I'm writing. A lot of writers don't, right? But I'll speak for myself. I definitely wear my producer's hat. I do know that it's a period piece and it can be very expensive. Fortunately, Pittsburgh is one of those cities that is still quite trapped in a time capsule.
Oh yeah.
When you come here, you see a lot of character. You see a lot of old Pittsburgh. It's still here, and the elements of the 1940s, 50s is still here. And fortunately, we have a lot of prop studios that contain a lot of
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, we have prop studios that has cars and costumes, and set design is very easy to do. However, it does not stop me. It just makes me want it more, to be honest with you. I would be remiss if I said that I would allow the thought of a budget to keep me from writing something that I deeply believe in. I wouldn't do that. However, I would be unrealistic if I wrote a piece that included spaceships.
Yeah.
That included spaceships and being on other planets, right? You know, and included this ungodly budget.
Yeah.
I think that a budget for something like Almost Promised, I could do the proof of concept, which would really be all I need, right, for to show that I'm relatively eligible for funding. I probably could use about 20 grand to get it off the ground for the proof of concept.
Wow.
It really wouldn't be that expensive to do.
That's people. I know a lot of people. Well, $20,000 for a artistic project sounds like a lot of money to. Yeah,
that's just for 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I know.
That's 20 grand for 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and it's your own money to kind of see if you can get real money behind it. It's a risk. Everything's a risk, and
it's all a risk. And so with my last two films, The Passport, that ran me about 20,000 for a 13-minute film, or 14-minute film. The Lover's Life was way more expensive. We went so over budget with that. It was unbelievable how much over budget we were with the Lover's Life. When we wrapped on the final day of shooting, because we shot 19 scenes in 3 days, right? Which is really, really pushing it. We pushed hard to get that done. There was a lot of overtime money included in that budget as well. We spent about $67,000 just at wrap. It doesn't include what we owed after wrap and what we owed after marketing, what we owed to keep in editing and post-production, right? That was just at wrap. That doesn't even include post-production funding. Right. So there was a lot of money that we poured into it to make it what it is. And it was a lesson learned for me. I'll be honest with you. I sold my jewelry. I filed bankruptcy. You know, so there was a lot of lessons that I'll take with me. And I tell this story and I'm very transparent about it in my interviews because I want people to learn from me, right? I want people, don't allow people to use you or take advantage of you just simply because you may not understand budgeting, right? Don't don't overpay for something. Don't almost lose your house. Um, don't use your own money
Right.
if you can help it. You know.
And again, this is based on my success at not being successful. I would say don't let desperation replace determination.
Well, that's the
Well,
thing with being an artist. Artists are driven by their heart.
it's
They're not
passion.
driven by their head.
Yeah, it's not desperation. But
Yeah.
don't let passion cloud your judgment.
Right.
People do that in love. When
Yeah.
you're in love with something, sometimes you're blind. You can't even see it. I
Yeah.
was so caught. First of all, The Lover's Life is based on a true story about my life, and it's a book adaptation. I wrote a book called The Lovers about my life. The book is on Amazon. I lost my mother when I was 17 years old to lung cancer, and I already had a baby. And so I had a child at 17. My mother died from lung cancer. I was by myself. I was an orphan with a baby. My mom was also a heroin addict my whole life, right? And
Wow.
so the story, it's a very profound story. The story is about my life. And
Now, when you're shooting it, not the heroin, but the movie.
That's terrible.
that was poor taste.
I
But go
got
ahead.
be right.
No, let's say, where did you?
Poor taste.
Terrible.
What poor
I
taste? I'm just asking.
Rancid.
My mother. I was talking
Rancid.
about my mother, but go ahead.
Rancid, disgusting taste. It's
Yeah.
the worst tasting thing I've ever tasted.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But go ahead.
How much of it was how cathartic was it for you, or had you already
Very.
been through that before
Very.
you started shooting?
Yeah, that's oh my
The
god.
writing part of it as a whole was extremely cathartic for me because I rewrote the book about 5 times, and the book actually wasn't published until after The Lover's Life was published. But to see the words from my book jump off the book and onto the screen, I worked very closely with Cambrisha Montgomery for the screenplay. She was a work for hire for our production company at the time, and we worked very closely together to tell the story. And the very first time that I saw the final edit and everything come together, I cried like a baby. I cried the whole time. At some point during pre-production as well, I had to pause and say, I need to stop for a minute. I need to take a break because I cried the whole time.
Now the person that's
I loved my mother deeply, and she loved us deeply. She just had a disease that so many suffer from.
Yeah.
now the
I've been
person
touched
that
by that
played
as
your
well.
mother, how did you pick that person? Because for what I mean, did they resemble your mother physically, or was it more like
No,
an inner quality?
she was referred like everyone else in the film industry. I know so and so who can do such and such, and this person is a great actress, right? And that's the way this industry goes. It's all based on who you know, and people do favors for each other all the time.
Yeah.
And I met her and I loved her, and it just so happened that she shares the same birthday as my mother.
Wow.
That was very serendipitous. Just so happened. There were so many serendipitous things that happened with the cast during the casting part of The Lover's Life and while we were filming. A lot of things that were happening, and it made me feel like that this was right and this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to tell this story.
Now, was there something that you learned about yourself during production that you did not know about yourself before you started?
Yes, that I was actually capable.
Wow.
That I was actually capable of pulling off something like this, someone who had never done it before, and to do it at the level that I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On that. Yeah, you know what? It's important. It's important to recognize that kind of stuff, these achievements that people make, because well, I think we just take it for granted. Oh, yeah, if you've never done it, you have no idea how difficult it is, and if you've never done it from a minority standpoint, you have no idea how difficult it is.
Absolutely, it was very difficult, and I worked really, really hard on it.
Yeah.
In fact, I've done so many renditions of it. I've written it as a feature film. And I've also broken it down into like 5-minute episodes. I added a voiceover on the front and establishing shot of Pittsburgh on the front for to lengthen each 5-minute episode. So I've done so many things to make it more marketable, to show that this was a really great brand, and it is a really great project, and it's versatile, and there's many things that you can do with it outside of it just being a television series, or 20-minute, 22-minute pilot or 30-minute episode, right? You can break it down into like mini series, or you can create it as a feature film. And so, and then there's the book that's attached to it as well. So
Right.
I've done a
So
lot of different things with the
I
life.
really appreciate you being here, and I don't want to keep you all day, although I would if I could. But I do want to just touch on a couple of things. On reallifemedia.com, there is film festival publicist services, which are really important. I was talking to a young man yesterday. I was doing it at a paint party I was hosting, and the young man was 18 years old, just getting ready to graduate high school in 2 weeks. And I said, "Are you going to college?" He said, "No, unfortunately not." I said, "Why you say unfortunately? At this point, if you don't know what your passion is, if you're not passionate about something, don't go to college. Just don't go to college just to go to college." I said, "What do
I
you do?"
agree.
He said, "I'm a marketing person." I said, "Well, you've got the world by the short hairs then at this point, because marketing is everything in film, in not just in film, but in the entertainment industry. The publicist job and the marketing jobs are the most important jobs. So
I
you're
agree.
offering this service for people who are doing film festivals, and I'm sure it can be applied now. I know this is not your forte, but those same principles on publicizing film festivals can also be done for comedy festivals, which is a big part of a segment of our
Oh,
life.
really? I would love to be able to be involved in something like that. Um, I do promote publicists as for film festivals for major projects. Most recently, I worked as a publicist and film producer for the Ebony Canal, which is directed by May Alaquiva, also directed and written by him, created and written by him. Viola Davis narrates that, and it is a film on Black infant mortality. And it's a highly educational film who made it to Sundance. And I had the opportunity to work as a film festival producer for that. So I was a publicist for the Ebony Canal. I was a publicist for other films that I've worked on with Email Aquiva as well, for his PSA Unspeakable, which is based on the underrepresented um, deaf community for Black Lives Matter, and was a publicist for that piece as well. So it's not my forte, but it is something that I do, and I'm highly knowledgeable because I was able to promote my films so heavily, and they're award winning. The Lover's Life has been seen all over the world, and it's won awards in many different categories, and so has The Passport. And so, because I have that level of knowledge on how to push films through the film festival process, I would love to be a part of the comedic industry segment of filmmaking, which I've not traveled, and someone told me I should try comedy, but I don't think so.
Well, everybody's doing it these days. But now, to wrap this up, the Lover's Life web series. First of all, is this the? Do you see this as the model for the future of television type series? Is going web based, and how? It's two part. Do you see it as a part of the future? And how do you? What's the mechanisms of doing it? Do you put it? You have to find the hosting stuff, and you host it on your own websites, or you go through like Vimeo, or what's the mechanism for getting it out there?
That's a question that is a personal preference for the filmmaker. I have had the pleasure of being mentored by a Sony executive who worked in marketing, who told me that the future of independent filmmaking is promoting it on your own website and making your own money.
I think so.
You promote it on your website, you make your own money, and you, as a marketing tactic, you offer incentives for people who watch the first 5 minutes of your film, first 10 minutes of your film. However you break your film down, you offer an incentive. If you buy season 1, season 2, you get swag, or right. So there are different ways that you can promote your film on your own website. That way you keep your own money. Things like Vimeo. Shout out to Film Hub, because I have both of my films are on Film Hub right now. But they do take a very small percentage of what you make, especially if it's ad based. Now, people aren't making money off of ads like they used to. YouTube kind of killed that. You used to make a killing off of ads if you were streaming, and you had, let's say, you had a platform of 1 million viewers or so. You were able to kill it, but just know that an ad will pay 0.000.
6. Yeah,
You're
I
not
know.
really making any money off of your ads, right?
I know.
Yeah. So I mean, you push it out on your own platform, and then that way you keep your own money.
Yeah, it's a great advice there on how to kind of, because I think if you got something of quality and you give them that sample, they're going to be hooked in, and now they want to support it, and they're going to want to get on
I
board with
agree.
that. It's just everybody wants to get on Netflix, like, because Netflix has it has so much power right now that everybody's looking at that and then thinking, if it's not on Netflix, it's not worthy. And I think that there's so many good things out there that are web series that are not available on Netflix, that people need to take notice of it, and then we need to find a better way to make it more, I don't know, popular or well known, publicized, I guess.
But it's hard to get on platforms like Netflix. It's very difficult. I'm not going to say hard. I'll use the word. It's complex, because if you don't have representation, the gatekeepers are not going to let you in.
Gatekeepers
Right?
everywhere.
They're not going to let you in. They're not
Right.
going to accept your submission because it's unsolicited. If you don't have an attorney to represent you, or you're not backed up by a reputable firm, you can forget about it. Your stuff is going nowhere,
Right.
right? And so unless you have someone who can champion you and walk your stuff in the door and put it in front of somebody to see it, it's off. You're another filmmaker. You're a goldfish with
Yeah.
all the rest of the goldfish in the pond, right?
Yeah.
You're a very small guppy out here with those sharks. And so, like you said, the powers that be, film production companies like A24, that's an independent um, production studio, who you might get an opportunity to get in front of someone if you know the right person, right? Plan B, that's Brad Pitt's studio. He's very, very powerful. They have, they shoot out films and they use the same people over and over again in this industry. Why? Because they trust them, they know them, they've been working with them, and they're heavy hitters and they make money.
Yeah.
So, if you're an unknown, find somebody work hard, network. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
Network.
Jackie Martling, who's a friend of the program, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, formerly from the Howard Stern Show. He was on here, and his house has been used in a lot of productions, and he gets roles in the production. But he made the point the other day that the film industry, it's such a big industry, but in a lot of ways, it's a very small, tight-knit industry, and that the way his house gets cast is by people knowing each other and saying, well, who did you use and who did you use? And they just come back to him. So as big as it is, it's a small world.
Very small. And that's why it's easy. That's why cancel culture is so easy, because everybody knows.
Yeah.
Immediately. Everybody knows immediately. You
Yeah.
make one mistake, everybody knows immediately. It's a
Right.
very small community, especially if you're a minority. Black Hollywood, extremely small and extremely gatekeeped. So, yeah.
Well, I salute you, and I really am inspired by you, and I hope
Thank you.
people will go to your website and look up the services that you offer, and patronize the work.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I
Greatly
appreciate you being
appreciate it.
here.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye for now. Oop! I cut her off right in the middle of a bye.
Yeah, you did it.
I do that. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Is that my thing? This is my signature of
Yeah.
cutting people off in the middle of a. Anyway, real life media, realfilmmedia.com. Lover's life, real life. Realfilmmedia.com, and those link is in the description. Go there and support the web series first of all, but then if you are in the entertainment industry or looking to get a film made, look up the other services she offers. Great guest, right? Good guest, worth waiting for. You didn't bring up at all your little project that you have.
No, not really. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that she gets inundated with stuff like that all the time, and
I know, but she said she did say she gets lots of one every day. Now, how can you possibly read a submission if you're getting them every day?
and that's what Dylan was telling me. He was saying that's why one of the first things they do to filter people out, if it's not formatted correctly, they won't even look at it.
Wow.
Yeah. So in other words, they could have I'm just trying to think of something like they could have Tolstoy. This could be Tolstoy or the next, or Victor Hugo, Hunchback of Notre Dame. But if it's not formatted right, they won't even look at it. It's like, and that's what Dylan's like working with me. It's like he said, because nobody's going to read it if it's not formatted right.
Now, why did he mention it? You're mentioning Dylan Brody, who was on the program just last week, and he has a film coming out. You Are Here, a Dylan Brody project, June 25th, 10 p.m. at Marina Del Rey Film Festival. He didn't even mention that when he was here, did he?
I think he did.
Did he?
I don't know the answer to that. I think he did. I think he did. I think toward the end he did do like a bunch of plugs. Toward the end, I think he did do some plugs. So and it was like quickly.
I must have been shot by that point because I don't remember him even mentioning it. But we didn't with the fire with the crap in L.A. The riots, they weren't even started yet when he was here, right? Or
no, I don't think they started yet.
Just one. Have you talked to him since then?
We have not talked. We exchanged an email, and it was basically him with a list of things that's wrong with my script.
Bill Rhodes is with us. He says,
Yeah.
I've had a comedy series written for 10 plus years, and I've never tried to move forward with it. Why? That's the question, Bill. Like, is it just knowing all the bullshit that you're going to have to, because you're going to, people, I haven't gotten around, just so much bullshit that, so the question for Bill is what is keeping you from trying to move forward with it? Is it just you have low tolerance for the bullshit like I do? Because I know anything you try to do is going to come with a lot of bullshit, and even if you go and do it, at the end of the day, it's like, now what am I going to do with it? No, Steven, what? You know what's wrong with where Steven is? What's going on?
Actually, no, I do not know where Steven is. I was expecting him today because I talked to him yesterday, maybe, or no, when did I talk to him? Friday. Yeah, I talked to him Friday after the show. Because I think he texted us about the Tantally ad, and he was like, "That's awesome." And so I called him and I said, first of all, you weren't supposed to see it until we got to see your facial expression when you saw it.
Right.
No, that's what I was telling him. So that's what we talked about. And he goes, well, I think maybe, so I think he told me that he may not be there Monday.
He didn't tell me. Not that he has to.
But I think I remember saying something like, well, there's no way Matt could have waited until Tuesday because I was saying how in a way you wanted to wait so you could see his reaction, but it was such
until Tuesday.
It was such a good but it was
do I strike you as an impatient person? Do I?
Yes.
Do I?
Yeah.
Answer me now. I don't have patience to wait for your answer. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Why didn't you answer before I asked that question?
If for the people who don't know who Steven Ortiz is, we have a video here. I think we do. It's spinning.
I think it's some of his finest work.
It's just no, it's spinning.
Matt and GD. I'm here at Southside Dojo in Portage, Michigan, and I'm here with Ricky. How are you doing today, Ricky?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Ricky, do you know the comedian Steven the Sitcom Ortiz?
No. Who is Steven the Sitcom Ortiz?
So you're saying you don't know him?
I don't know that.
Of course not! Who the fuck knows who he is? Nobody. Nobody knows who the fuck Steven the Sitcom Ortiz is. Because clearly, he's not much of a comedian now, is he?
Wow.
Steven the Sitcom Ortiz is a fat bastard from Indiana who looks like a potato.
Oh my God.
He can't grow a mustache and he can't be alone. He always has to have a woman in his life because he's codependent.
Oh, is he on sitcoms?
No.
Then why is this sitcom Ortiz?
Because he's handicapped in a wheelchair.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Doesn't matter. You can still be a piece of shit in a wheelchair.
You can. I mean, there's no asshole, like, exemption. Anyone can be an asshole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as you've seen, Matt and GD, nobody knows who the fuck Steven the Sitcom Ortiz is. He's not making a dent in the comedy field, and I seriously doubt he ever will. I've been the Beef Man for Coffee with the Dog on Mind Dog TV. Back to you, Matt and GD.
I appreciate your work there, Mr. B, man. Let me just say that everything he said, except the wheelchair part about Steven, could be applied to me. Nobody knows who I am, right? Nobody knows who I am. Find my
Well, I don't know that it's because if nobody knew who you were, like Robert Klein knows who you are.
He does.
I mean, matter of fact, I just talked to him yesterday on the phone, and he goes, "How's that old fat bastard?" I said, "Steven." He goes, "No, Matt."
Wow.
So, yeah. So he does.
I thought we were buds.
That he said it with love.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he didn't say it FAT. He said PHAT.
Yeah. That guy he seemed surprised to know that Steven, that was a game changer a little bit, knowing that Steven was in a wheelchair.
But he admitted that there's no exemption to being an asshole.
Yeah. No, it's true. Anybody can be an asshole. Oh, what's that? Oh, speak of the asshole devil.
Did somebody say fat bastard?
Somebody. It's like Beetlejuice. Fat bastard, fat bastard, fat bastard.
Boom.
Oh, there you go. Where are you this morning? We missed you.
Okay, that's overstating. We didn't miss you, but we were curious as to what happened.
No, when I say we missed you, I mean we were a sniper on the side of the road shooting at cars, and we missed you.
That why I blew a tire? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Some
Where
bullshit.
are you?
It's better blowing a tire than an officer to get out of a ticket.
How come I didn't get a note from your mother saying you would be absent today?
To be fair, I told GD Friday that I would not be here Monday morning because I had an interview.
I told you we have to start paying attention when he talks. Wow. So yeah. Now I noticed the Beef actually put on a pair of pants for that that little interview he did. Did you see? You did see the thing he did on about the Army and well, it's on Facebook where he's wearing these revealing shorts and very short socks and so he's showing his legs off a little bit there.
He did. I think he did it strictly out of spite because they're sexy legs.
Oh, we're trying to get under your skin. In other words,
he's trying to get under my pants.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
No, it's funny because Steve earlier Matt had said that you were AWOL, and then he said AWOL stands for Amish without legs, and
Amish without legs. I didn't think of that, but thank you very much.
Genius.
I would have said
that's
that.
Good.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said right afterward. He goes, "Yeah, Steven's AWOL today. Amish without legs."
If you would have passed me that note like Jackie used to do to Stern, I would have definitely said that and claimed credit for it.
I did pass it. Look,
right.
even now.
Oops.
So, Steven, you went for an interview for what? You blowing dudes again?
No, this was the final interview for the bank.
Oh, you say the final. And wait, hold it. Hold on. You went to a bank job interview like that? No tie?
No, I just changed. I got out of my nice clothes.
GD, you believe him? Do you believe him?
Well, we don't know what his nice clothes look like.
Here's my slacks.
You changed in the car?
No. I stopped at a parking lot. I stopped at a rest stop and changed because I didn't want to.
You stopped at a Home Depot, got your ass plugged by some bear, and you had to take the jacket off for that.
Well, I was looking for Kobe Fox, but I can't find the guy.
Oh, let's talk. You know, I was surprised. Yesterday, people who don't know who Kobe Fox is, Steven invited this adult film star that he used to patronize. He had an OnlyFans subscription, and he told me, this guy Kobe, he gets me off like nobody else, and have him on the program. And Kobe Fox, and his Australian accent, and his manly hairy nipples that he showed us on the program. And then, look, Steven turned black. Did you see how Steven turned black? You know, once you go black, you can never come back.
It's not even Juneteenth yet.
Right. So then somebody found the clip just 2 days ago and wrote on there, it was a shame he died so young, so handsome. I don't know about so handsome. But I was like, what the fuck? He died. He was just on the show like a couple of weeks ago, a month ago or something, right?
February 27th.
And then we looked it up, and there was confusing stuff about his death. First of all, we're not sure if he was 39 or 42. Do we know how he died?
As of right now, it's undisclosed. That's why we took up a fund.
So what does that mean? How did he die? Did somebody? Stevens can't decide whether he's in or out, can he?
Apparently, you didn't pay attention to church yesterday. The Reverend went over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He went over that yesterday.
All right. Well, so tune into the Reverend show yesterday. Go find that and give it a couple of. So yeah, I don't know. It's a sad thing that Kobe has passed, but apparently,
can I play the 90-second clip?
Yeah, sure. Just let me just finish this because people are saying that now. I don't know because they said he just came out with a heartfelt explanation of his life and how he's come out of the closet and proud to be with. But he was obviously out of the closet. He was way out of the closet even before we even found out about him.
In fact, not only was he out the closet, he was out the yard and in public.
Right, but so they're saying that he just came out with a heart. It was days before his passing. He just came out with a heartfelt message about accepting who he is and all this stuff. And it's like, some of this just isn't adding up because you wouldn't have an OnlyFans page out there and be making money off of who you are if you didn't accept it. So It was just weird. All right, if you want to play that clip, It's probably not.
Lord.
Oh, it is ready.
Please bless brother Kobe Fox. Okay, Kobe Fox was a friend of the show. Kobe Fox, Australian adult content creator, Kobe Fox died at age 42. His cause of death was undisclosed. If you'd like to contribute to finding a cure for undisclosed, you may do so by ordering Church of the Last Resort merchandise at minddogtv.com/merch. A portion of the proceeds from each purchase will be used for profit.
Wow.
Fox, who was known to his family and friends as Anthony Cox, no pun intended, unless the pun was intended, Fox, aka Cox, made a significant impact in his brief but prolific career in the adult film industry. Now, if you are going to have a prolific career in porn, your career is the only thing that can be brief.
Button pushing fuck is
nothing else.
Button and boom.
He was loved by many over many takes and many scenes, and he will be missed. Rest in peace, Kobe.
Now,
Is that a wombat in your pants, or are you just happy?
I must have been sleeping during that part of the show.
Yes, indeed.
It's so weird. His name was Cox, and why would you change it? That's like it's a made for porn name. Why would you change
Anthony
the name
Cox,
Tony?
Yeah.
Or Tony Cox would be fine.
Tony Cox or Aunt Cox, like Uncle Cox.
Yeah.
Aunt Cox, no. Aunt Cox.
Yeah. Here's a man. Speaking of a man who likes to eat a bag of dirty dicks, Stephen Cox Ortiz. No, Stephen is Sit Cox. Stephen is Sit Cock, right? You sit because you sit on a cock.
I don't.
Good. I'm glad your audio doesn't work when you try to talk and try to rebut what I say about you. Now, why are you pushing buttons like a button pushing asshole? He's in and out. He's over here. He's over there. Oh, wait, we did that one. I could remove that from the studio. Thought that was him in one slot. Anyway, yeah, it just doesn't. He had the perfect porn name. Why would you change it? Can't just
See,
ignore
and when I
Steven.
asked him about that in the show, about him choosing that name, you said that I was disrespecting his parents who named him.
Steven the shit receptacle Ortiz. That's got a catchy little. I don't know if you can actually monetize that though, because there's so many places where you would not be able to say that, right?
Well, I think if you got a bumper sticker and you put it on the back of toilets. I know when we had this is years and years ago. The band I was forming, we didn't have a name, or we were still looking for a name. You know, the part of the band when
Could
you
have
get
called it
together.
Tony Cox.
Well, I said that we should call ourselves American Standard because that was like a very popular toilet brand. And whenever somebody would be going to the bathroom, all of the toilets just said American Standard on the back. And so our name would be everywhere, you know, American Standard. But we didn't really play the American standards. We were playing original music.
Yeah. That is a good marketing policy there, though, to have your name put everywhere that people and in a very visible place.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not in a reading mood when I'm in a public restroom.
Yeah, but when you're pissing, you don't really have much else to do. You can.
Me, I do.
Oh, okay.
I think I went over this with Willie at one time. My thing is because my prostate is so bad, I have this ritual where I lean forward like this, put my head on the wall, and take a nap while I pee because I know it's going to be 15 minutes. Wake me up when it's over. That's what you know.
It's
So
like
yeah,
I know I used to. There was a truck stop that had these ads for the products that they sold at the truck stop right above the urinals. And you'd be like inverters for so you can run electricity. You can run an appliance in your car by plugging it into your cigarette lighter, and it converts your 12 volts to like to 110, 120.
Matt sits to pee. No, Jackie sits to pee, and I thought about that the other day because Jackie had recommended that. And believe me, it's kind of in the back of my mind that maybe I should. I actually enjoy napping, standing up in that way with the hands against the wall like that. For some reason, it's a cool little buzz, a little high, a little whatever it is. It's a meditation moment. But sitting it will be the next step. Yeah, before I go into the nursing home.
Laying. I'll be laying down to pee.
Yeah. So
you're just laying on the bed, pointing it over the side into a bucket.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Bill, don't think old age isn't coming for you. And what will you do when you get to this point where
the old age may not come for him because we have two choices: we grow old or we die.
Right. Well, yeah. But what will you do when you get to my age and the prostate just says, you know what, I'm inflamed. I'm going to make it hard for you to pee, but I make it so you have to pee. You feel like you got to pee any second, and then you rush in there, and then it's just like, I'm not going to start just yet. It's like, hurry up and wait. It's a hurry up and wait thing. And it seems the moment your prostate gets inflamed, that somebody is always in the bathroom from that moment on. Every bathroom. There's always somebody at the urinal. You got to wait. You always have to wait once you got prostate problems. It's like it's a nature thing, I guess. Anyway, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Are we doing anything here? I already sit to pee because of deflecting stream. The deflect. Is that just a hair in front of your dick hole?
I think it's your finger. I think if you just move your finger, you can actually put your finger over it and you get a stronger stream, or you can like put it like in the middle and you get like a
the double stream thing is very disconcerting. It's like, what happened? Is there a cork in the middle of my cock? What the fuck is going on here? And then you have to figure, yeah, that would be a good time to sit.
Squeeze it. You just squeeze the opening. Massage it a little. Just yeah.
Thanks for the advice. We've tuned into a rub your dick the wrong way podcast in the morning. I don't know. Somebody said we don't ignore Ron. Ron doesn't say anything. It's not like we're ignoring them. And then the problem is when GD or Steven are talking, when Ron's talking, I get a little upset because it's so rare that Ron wants to say anything. I feel if he feels the urge to actually move his lips, we should all step back and gaze and
Yeah,
wonder.
but 9 out of 10 times we already know that what he's about to say is going to make the show that much closer to the gutter. You know, it's going to be like it's like he'll start. We'll be talking about eating eggs at a diner. How do you like your eggs at the diner? And Ron will say something like well, I think we should just take the eggs right out of the most fertile woman, and then it's like whoa, what? What?
Once again, proof that we don't actually need Ron here to just assume how disgusting and rotten he would be if he were here. Wow. My production in Ohio for the film I'm going to be in, it just got moved back a month. I got to figure out, change my plans. That's fine. That's fine. Yesterday was...
Well, the show that I'm in, they changed the one word that I'm going to say. I'm just teasing. I had to learn a whole new word. No, I still got the same word.
A whole new word.
And it's the same word, vicious. I still got they haven't changed the script yet.
Is it biatches or bitches?
It's vicious, like Sid.
Oh, because yeah, now you have to say biatches the new way. Saturday night, I went to an engagement party. No, my stepdaughter's engagement party at Dave and Buster's. Have you ever been to Dave and Buster's?
Yeah, a few times. I used to go there a lot.
See, I felt so out of place there. Like, I don't know, old men. Because now my wife is running around playing games and stuff, and I don't play games. So now I'm like walking through this place. It's weird because there's a bar, there's millennials at the bar getting drunk and partying, and then they're walking around with drinks. There are old creepy people like me walking around where you say, well, this guy shouldn't be here. Is he hitting on kids? And then you got your really families with little kids around drunks and deviants and all this. It's just a weird mix of... if you're gonna have a family safe place, it should be a family safe place. You don't have a bar and a pickup joint in the middle of a family safe place. I don't know. You don't think anything?
I used to clean up at the basketball hoop, the free throw. I used to clean up at the free throw. Yeah, most of my chicks I got at the free throw line, and then there's this game where they have the coins, and you throw a quarter and you put a quarter in and you aim it, and then this arm comes along and it's like tries to push the coins off the side, and that's what you get to keep.
Yeah.
Okay, I was pretty good at that as well. That and the basketball
game. I was going to try that game. I gave my card to my grandson and said, "You play." My biggest fear is having people realize this guy's never played a video game in his life. I don't know how to fucking even use it.
Surely you could even do the one where they throw the ball and it goes into the hole. I can't remember what it's called. Hole ball. It's like a little duck pin ball.
I like the boxing game. Have you the boxing where there's this they got the guy on the screen, you're fighting him, and you got pads.
Oh, right.
That's pretty good. Because the thing I like about it, it's like real boxing, except you never get punched in the face. Even when he hits you, it's simulated. You don't feel it, but you see him actually feeling your punches. So I don't know. To me, it's like, if I'm not going to get hit, sure, I'll be a boxer. If I never have to feel the pain of it.
Well, I didn't get hit very often when I boxed, but when I did, I mean, because I used to slip a lot of punches, or sometimes there were punches that I deliberately took. Like I had a very, very good stomach muscles. They were very, very strong, and so sometimes I'd leave my stomach open and let them hit at my stomach, and they think they're doing well, and I'm just letting them get tired out because I'm not feeling that. I'm just setting them up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because I'll get myself in trouble here. Anthony,
that's how you used to hit women?
Well, no. Anthony, who is my stepdaughter's fiance, they're getting married, I think, in September here. At the end of the day, with everybody saying goodbye, and they're all hugging and all this stuff. And yeah, I'm not a very huggy person. I don't know if you've noticed this about me.
I know you didn't stop hugging me when I was there. You wouldn't let go.
Well, that was because of the erection. But other than that, I'm not really a huggy person. But I was doing the hugging, and then he came to say goodbye to Anthony, and it was like a little awkward moment there. And I punched it. He's kind of he's got a little bit of a belly. I gave him a little, bro punch in the belly, and he went, "Oh!" And I was like, wait a minute! I just gave you a little bro punch. Love tap is what I
There's
called
probably
it.
food still in there.
Oh, that could have been it. But then and then everybody was like, "What happened? You punched him? What's wrong with you?" But this is a fucking love tap. Come on. And then later on, he walks in the door and he goes, "Hey, thanks a lot for that punch." And I was like, "It's a fucking love." This is what I brought up the other week, where this millennial generation doesn't know what it's like to get punched. They've never felt a fucking punch in their life. Because to me, that's a thing. I mean, it's like
they never had birthdays as a kid. Remember the birthdays, like they chase you down and give you a lick for each birthday, each year. And not only that, not only just one person, but all of your friends would chase you. And then, well, at least in Baltimore. So, like, if
And
you had five
sure,
friends,
and then one for good luck after all.
Yeah, one for good luck, one for bad luck, one for all your years. Like, now you're just looking for excuses to hit me.
Right. Definitely. This is what
they
guys
just
do.
gave you one for each year. Why they gotta give you one for all your years? They're just looking for excuses to hit you now.
I do think it's part of male rite of passage that your buddies would hit. If guys would hit each other, it's not like you weren't punching them in the face with everything you had. You just your whole back.
Or if you got a haircut, whenever you got a haircut, they smack you in the back of the head. When you had a fresh haircut.
But it was never meant to like really be hurtful. It was meant to like it was a male rite of passage thing. This is what we do. And I think once you lose that, somebody along the line, now he's gotten to be 35 years and never really felt a good punch. But at some point, I think it's hard to go through life without ever getting a real punch. And if you haven't experienced it growing up, it's really going to shock you. What happens at 40 years old? You finally get punched in the face by somebody. Whoa! I'm out.
We used to play a card game called Nux, and okay, you're nodding, so you know that.
Yeah,
game.
I know it.
I don't know how many kids out there. If you don't know the game Nux, because I don't know how many people still play it. But the game was I'm trying to, and Matt, step in and correct me any detail I get wrong. But basically, it's kind of like it's like a discard game, and you're trying to get rid of your cards. And when at the end of the game, whoever has the most red cards in their hand loses, or the most cards in your hand loses. And you got hit on the knuckle, like once for every red card. It's hard, and a soft hit if it's a black card or something like that. Man, if you can do it better, knock yourself out. But you got hit very hard. I mean, we send kids home crying. Yes.
Yeah. Bleeding knuckles.
Yes.
And we did brutal things to each other, but then we were better prepared for life. I think that was the point I was making. I think if you go through all that stuff, it's just the stupid boys being boys. By the time you get to being a man, you kind of, first of all, you lose your desire to be involved in that shit in any way. But then you're also prepared for it if it ever happens, to not be totally shocked like this is your first time. Like you're losing your pain virginity. You've already experienced that.
Now there's a new show starting this week on television. I think it's on the Discovery Channel. It could be on ID, but I think it's on Discovery Channel. And it's about all the things that we used to have in our society that used to be okay, that that we just stopped saying we're okay, like lawn darts, asbestos, having actual plutonium or uranium in kits for like
lead paint in the schools.
Yeah, lead paint. There was a toy that was actually a real flamethrower. It shot real flames. You could buy those, and they don't think it's a good idea nowadays.
Huh.
But it's a series on television, and it's just I'm pretty sure the first show is going to have lawn darts, because that is the biggest thing that we used to have that they got rid of. And the other thing that they're going to have is the Afro picks. We used to have what they call cheese cutter picks that were metal, and they had metal prongs, and you could use those for weapons.
Right. Yeah.
And clackers, the little
yeah.
glass balls.
Well, I was going to bring up clackers there because there were things that only had like a 6 months shelf life before they got taken away and said these things were no good. Clackers, for people who don't know, it was like Benoit balls, big old marbles on a string, and you do this up, and they would clack together, and you'd get them going. But they were made of hard acrylic, and they would fracture and then go shoot off and kill a kid on the school bus or something. And then people were starting using like nunchucks, like weapons and stuff. So they banned them after like maybe longer than 6 months, but it wasn't years. It
And I
was,
thought they were originally glass, and then they changed the acrylic. Was
yeah, it could have been, yeah.
'Cause I
But
thought they were
either
like
way,
marbles.
it was a lethal toy.
Oh yeah, yes, very lethal. And I'm
And right
pretty sure
around that same time, super elastic bubble plastic, which was
Yes.
it was like teaching kids to add it and say, get off the glue. This stuff will get you much higher, much faster. And you
yes.
you just put this stuff on a straw and you blew it up into a balloon, but the toxic chemicals that came off of that would fuck you up seriously.
Yes. It was a replacement for glue. It was more expensive though. So if you had, because the glue was like 25 cents a tube or something, it wasn't that expensive, model glue.
Yeah.
But super elastic bubble plastic was like 3 times more expensive. Or even if it cost the same, it was like a much smaller tube.
Right.
So
and
they
you
had
get hooked on it.
Yeah, they got you to keep coming back more, buy more. It was, yeah.
Oh man, it's a good time. Now, last thing we do, I don't want to rush this thing off, but people are getting bored with this and Boomer remember when conversation. But did you have the Bugman? We had, because we are in a coastal area and lots of mosquitoes here, there were trucks that would go around spraying DDT, most toxic chemical.
Right.
A big smoke, foggy thing that went 1,000 yards behind the truck. It was just blowing out white smoke. And kids would get on their bicycles and chase it because it smelled nice and it would get you high. And kids would chase running in DDT poison behind the truck. And then they would get hit by cars because they were in a fucking.
I seem to remember that in Florida as a kid, because they had mosquito problems in Florida.
Right.
And I seem to remember that there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's a direct memory from when I was down there, or if that was like one of those memories that was given to me, and I just latched onto it, like, say Zsa Zsa Gabor having a cat in her lap on Johnny Carson.
Yeah, I remember that. That's a Mandela pussy effect or something. The Mandela's pussy effect.
Yeah, is that now the Mandela effect? Is that the effect that everybody remembers when he scored 101 points in the game again in Philadelphia?
No, everybody remembers they were at Woodstock.
Oh yeah, I was at Woodstock. I remember everybody remembering that.
Right. Yeah. So, but Mikey's father used to pay $5 if you could touch the bumper of the truck. So encouraging your kids to not only get poisoned, but get maximum poison, suck in every last drop of that DDT.
That sounds like somebody who didn't want to have kids and was trying to find a way to take it back.
This is why the boomer generation on the East Coast here, the people who had this is why they're all getting like weird cancers and stuff really young. It's because my generation was a generation that sucked down poison for fun in the summertime.
But on the other hand, I mean, we used to play in dirt, eat dirt, and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
we did stuff that built up our immune systems and not just your body, but also your spirit. You know, you get used to getting whacked, you get hit. You don't take it so personally. You know, I mean, I was the youngest, and I used to get ass whoopings, from my parents. I used to get them from my siblings if I told. I used to get it from my parents if I didn't tell.
Yeah.
I used to get it in the street for being smart. And I used to get it in the street for having a smart ass mouth.
Now I know you don't have any kids of your own, but you've been a stepfather and all this stuff, and your father has passed. Yesterday, Father's Day, did it mean anything to you? Did you do anything for Father's Day?
No, I got a text from 2 people who thanked me, and and one of them said they're actively working on making me a grandfather, and I said, don't rush it. I said, take your time and do it right. I Yeah, I said take your time and do it right. No, don't rush. Haste makes waste. That's what that's what I said.
I had a Father's Day paint party, which was kind of surprising. And Mother's Day I had too, and those are not surprising. Mother, that's a gift you get your mother. But for somebody to get their father, the father of the family, a paint party for a memorable event, and so it was in Queens, not Queen Elizabeth. It was in Queens, and I got lost on the way there. And when I got there, I started to load in, and I noticed the father sitting there watching the Met game. And I asked him where to set up, and he was not happy. Like he didn't. And I'm like, I asked him, I was like, "Are you the father that we're celebrating here today? And would you prefer to be watching the Met game?" And he just like didn't. He kind of grumbled at me. So I had it was in an apartment in Queens. And I'm setting up in front of this guy's television. He's trying to watch the Met game. Of course, they were losing. They were losing, which was a good thing because he was already.
Yeah.
But it's just uncomfortable when you're going there to host a party, and the guy who the party is for doesn't want you there at all. It's like, oh man, how am I going to make this? But at the end of the day, he had a good time. He thanked me and he tipped me well, and it was a good time for all. But I think I would be much like him if I were the father and my kids decided this is what we should do for Dad on Father's Day. Like, no,
that's like going in to deliver a baby, and the guy there with the woman is like, I told her I didn't want this damn thing.
Wow. No, it's not quite that severe.
I think it is.
Shove it back. You can't shove it back. But yeah, paint party went well, and then but getting lost going there. It was supposed to be in East New York, where my family is from, but because it was supposed to be an outdoor thing, and then they said since it's gonna rain, we'll do it in Little Neck, Queens, and then it didn't rain a drop. It's like, you know what? Trump was now using the fact that it didn't rain on Saturday. Well, we're all predictions of rain. They just like it's a conspiracy theory or something. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, he can't. Something. If he hadn't fired half the weather people, he'd have gotten a better forecast.
That's not. You know what? There's that, and one guy again, I'm banned from X, and I just kind of it's so frustrating because the amount of I felt like, listen, I know I'm not making a difference in the world, my social media posts, but I feel like every time one of these outrageous lies happens, somebody has to counter it, and if I don't, I got to trust the rest of the world is going to do it. One guy had this actually ridiculous thing, and I could not point out the obvious. He said, all these Democrats and leftists with their No Kings protest. So you realize France has a Bastille Day parade every year, military parade on Bastille Day every year, and nobody protests that. And I felt like, isn't someone going to say to this guy that Bastille Day is the ultimate No King's Day? They got out the guillotines for the king. They said, fuck this bastard, we're going to chop his head off. You don't get any more No Kings than that. Do you?
Yeah.
How are you even making this argument? And nobody, it's so frustrating. I can't say anything, and nobody is saying anything. Like, hello, do you even know what you're fucking talking about? Bastille Day. You know what that?
It's funny. There was some guy. Oh, there's a thing called Next Door, and he had posted something really stupid. He goes, "All of you who are opposed to the deportation, exactly how many people should we let into the country?" Or something like that. And I thought to myself, first of all, the people who are opposed to the deportation, a lot of it is the procedure, not necessarily like if he said he was going after the criminals. If he had stuck with that, I don't think he'd have had the problem. He's just going willy-nilly. But I didn't go into all that. I just said as many as we need to get the jobs done. That's all I wrote, because it's
this whole narrative that Democrats love illegal, and listen, I hate to be in a position where I sound like a Democrat, like I'm defending Democrats, but it's a lie to say Democrats are pro-illegal aliens. Democrats are for due process, and if you can prove that they're really criminals, by all means support them. But if you're not even giving them a chance to say, well, let's have a little due process here, then they can say anybody who opposes them is an illegal alien, and you don't get a chance. They could say it about me. They could say it about you. They could say it about everybody. Well, the rule of law is important on that thing.
Yeah,
but
see, Democrats are the ones that we prosecuted our own. Robert Menendez got rid of Al Franken for something that happened, back when he was a comedian. I mean, we get rid of our own. Or I shouldn't say we because I'm not a Democrat, but Democrats get rid of their own. They will hold people responsible. You don't get that with the GOP.
Yeah.
You just get the excuses.
Last thing on the immigration thing. We have made I should run. Oh, I was going to challenge you that we both run for president in 2028. Both have different campaigns. I don't know. I feel like this issue.
Well, my question, first of all, is because it takes. I think the fee is like $5,000.
Right.
So is that how far we're going? Are we both going to the point where we're running and we actually have to pay the $5,000 fee? Because if that's the case, I need to start saving now.
No, I think we do an exploratory committee and see if we can raise the money, but just it really wouldn't get that far anyway. Listen, I'm not thinking it would ever even get to the primary stage or whatever. We're not running as a party, as independents, but just to kind of
you and I make up our own party. We'll run against each other and have a primary.
All right, that's good enough. Yeah, the dog party. The paint party.
Bill Rose wants to call it the toga party.
Yeah, that's fine. Toga party running in 2020. But I think the immigration thing.
We'll call it the paint party. No.
All right, fine. The immigration issue to me is very solvable. It's not as complicated as we're making immigration reform. Because I think if we educate people on, first of all, we make a system where the pathway to citizenship is much easier, simplified and preferred, as opposed to taking the illegal route. Most people would take the legal route if they knew about it, if it was simplified and there was a way to do it that didn't make you fucking try to guess and where you should go and what all this stuff. Have a immigration thing all along the border, immigration office like a DMV, where you come in and you do it the right way and educate people that is there for that extreme purpose, and anybody who doesn't do it will be deemed a criminal just by the fact that you're not doing it the right way. It's right here in front of you. We made it very easy and simple for you. And if you're not going to take that point, we're going to assume you're a criminal. At that point, I think we get both sides saying, yeah, anybody who doesn't do it, shoot them on sight. They're an invader. They're a criminal. And then we're all on the same page. And then I think it's very easy nowadays to track people and vet them if they come through the office and do it the right way. This has been on the table. This is not a new idea, by the way. The legislation has shot down every attempt at immigration reform for 40 years now.
Yes.
But if we did that, we wouldn't be complaining about illegal immigrants and this scapegoating of, they're taking my job, they're taking my woman, they're taking my house, they're taking, we're giving all money. None of that would be the case. Why can't we just get on board with reforming immigration policy and then deal with it from that perspective? It's just
I agree.
We can't agree. You got to. How are we going to have a primary if we both agree on these issues?
Well, sometimes it's not a matter. Sometimes it's just a matter of who people want to have a beer with. That's how. Which I don't agree with that premise.
Yeah.
Who you want to have a beer with? I think that's stupid.
No, I think who you want to shoot up with their mother with.
Yeah, I think it's who do I want to go to a comedy club with?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you learn more about people at that kind of setting than you do at having a beer with somebody.
Yeah. We have no guests tomorrow, so if anybody out in the chat room wants to show up and be part of the guests, let me. The rest of the week we do. On Wednesday, Dwayne Walker, the creative coach. Remember that guy? I sent you his video, and you said, "Why don't you get him on the show?" I got him on the show. He's going to be on Wednesday, and then Jeff Rasley will be on in hour 2. My friend Jeff Rasley, who's a lawyer, a left-wing activist lawyer, and a kind of a hippie from the 60s, and author, will be on also Wednesday. I don't think we have any comedians booked for this week, but Wednesday's going to be a good show. And
when
then,
is Queen Elizabeth coming on?
Who?
Queen Elizabeth. I thought she booked.
No, I don't have her booked in the near future. It would be good to have her.
She said she was going to, because she started a new podcast, and I told her to come on and promote it, and she goes, "Okay," and I thought she was coming on.
Yeah. I wish she was. I mean, she's due. She's definitely due to come back on. I think now that she's got her thing, she doesn't care about me anymore. All right. I guess we'll wrap this up here. So Steven should be with us tomorrow now, or
yeah, it's understood that he planned on being here tomorrow.
See this guy? Evil Ian.
Yeah, welcome, Ian. You showed up just in time.
Well, I got this thing right about if you take Christian, right, and because as the MAGAs do, they have Christian, but they take Christ out of it. All that is left is Ian, right? If you take Christian, take the Christ out of it, all that's left is Ian,
right?
And that's him. That's who they mean. Evil Ian. Evil
okay.
Ian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that he's secretly?
I'm saying he is the devil.
MAGA people are secretly worshiping him.
I am. I'm saying he is the Antichrist because he's a Christian. You take the Christ out of it, all you're left is with Ian. He's got the evil right in his name. Ian is the Antichrist, and he is the one MAGAs actually worship. They don't know it yet. Or maybe they do. Do they know that they actually worship Ian and his little glass pipes and his bongs and the things that he makes? This is the thing. Ian is the Antichrist. This is my my thing.
Yeah, Mac gets pretty deep in the last 4 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Then he gets all philosophical and says, "And listen, and turn on your radio."
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I wish you would. I would have known you were going to say that phrase because I would have. What was the phrase you just said?
I said Mac gets all profound, and then he says, "Turn on your radio."
Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me.